Bhairava Kalike Namostute. Om Namo Bhairavaya Namo Nama. Om Namo Bhairavaya Swaha. So good morning. We are back on yet another video. I would my appearance might look a little weird and puffy and all that because as we head into the year of Mars, probably many of you have also been feeling extreme heat, not because of external temperature or the general days are hotter and all that, but generally there is definitely extreme heat. Sometimes I feel like somebody is pouring boiling water all over me, and to the extent that I will sometimes touch and see whether somebody has actually poured water on me. That kind of heat is being generated. Today morning I woke up with all sort of puffiness on the face and all that. It happens. This entire year I've noticed that it might have been 12 months, but it is almost like 12 full years. That is how this year has been for me. In terms of knowledge and the body aging also has been like that. That is what I feel. So anyway, probably some of you also might have felt it. So if you've noticed any puffiness and all, I apologize for that. It is just part of the progress towards Mars. Some of the vidhis that we are performing now. We head towards extreme prana. The amount of prana that a body can contain naturally is X amount, with which it will perform its daily duties. And then when the spiritual eye begins to open and the spiritual prana begins to go higher, the body might not be able to contain, which generally is noticed by Mahapurushas or Siddhas or Sadhakas who remain in the public eye, who are exposed to the public eye, or who are giving out any kind of jnana on these subjects. You will generally notice them aging very rapidly because they are a risk for the Prakriti. They are not meant to be exposed at that level. So that is why if somebody is a Mahapurusha or a Siddha is living for 120 years, 100 years, 200 years and all, they will move into the seclusion. That is because the more you are exposed to the public eye, the more you are likely to burn out the body. And then there is a risk that how much can you control your rebirth? How much time will you get to control your rebirth? What sort of a family will you be born into, and how much time it will take for you to awaken and realize that yes, this is what I was in my previous birth, now let me come back to that path. How much time it takes? These sort of risks they try to avoid, and they try to run into the forests. That is why they do that. So some of us have that divya dharma to be set, duties to be done. Otherwise, if you try to skip that, when you get the urge to speak on these subjects and yet you do not do it, then you will have to come back for it. So taking these sort of karmic hits, we continue to talk on these subjects. So good morning, and we are back on yet another video on that lines. So one of the main subjects that I receive in my email majorly from young men is that they are unable to control their lust as they go deeper into Bhairava Sadhana, any kind of sadhana, especially the younger forms like Vatuka or Kanda himself. Kanda Bhairava generally he's so full of prana that he will accelerate these sort of thoughts faster, but is it in a very limited myopic way? We tend to think this feeling of lust as a merely poor character. That is what the Britishers taught us. The Britishers taught all the Indians because Ajnana was supposed to flourish for the last few centuries, and it did. So whatever they tried to project on us that as immoral, we tend to think that as so the moment you get these sort of thoughts, you think that you are dirty. Now let us get deeper into a specific incident, a specific life of a great Siddhar who is called the Siddha of the Siddhars. He is the one who has given over 16,000 verses in the praise of Kanda Bhairava, Kandan, Guhya. And you know what is even more secretive about him is that he has given out 16,000 verses, however less than 2,000 is available today, less than 2,000. Okay, so we must be thankful to Kanda Bhairava for allowing us to have access to those 2,000, because probably he deems only those 2,000 relevant as we continue on this path. As we get into Ghora Kali Yuga, 5,125 years of golden period is done. So we are getting into Ghora Kali Yuga now. Probably he decided that that is all is sufficient. So getting into the subject of lust and how lust should be correctly understood by a sadhaka. He is not to think of himself as dirty. there is great meaning in lust. Who is the reason for this lust? Who is giving or projecting this lust within you? What are these hormonal thoughts that come within you, which science is trying to make sense of as purely an animalistic urge? It is not animalistic, it is way beyond. There is a spiritual meaning in this subject. Who projects, who's the most biggest energy ball that through which Shakti creates the world? It is Mahadeva, Shiva, and such virality, such I've told you about the bull, which is the most, I don't know what is even the word to describe the bull. The bull in his lifetime can produce, in a day he is able to mate with multiple cows. That is the amount of virya within the bull. That is why he is the Vahana of Mahadeva. Through this energy, Shakti creates the world. The creative Shakti within Mahadeva is something you cannot even understand, but it is Shakti that creates. Now, when all of us are being formed in the shadow of Mahadeva to replicate him like sons and daughters of this Devi and that Adi Yogi, when we are coming in that path, Shakti continues to teach you lessons on femininity, on understanding what is a woman. Why do we have a divine feminine? If we continue to look at the divine feminine just like a dog or a sparrow would look at its companion, or we would continue to look at the feminine as if it is merely to have the physical pleasure and create life. That is not what the feminine is all about. So until you overcome the physical urge, what is overcome? To sit under a tree and pretend that I have overcome the urges. I am no longer having these urges. I am Mahapurusha. I am Siddha. I don't have it. Physically I have abstained. You are a fool. You have completely lost the plot. Every time a man is chosen to continue the knowledge, continue giving the spiritual knowledge of these deities, he would have overcome the physical urges and not pretended to sit under a tree and say that he has conquered those feelings. It is not to be conquered, it is to be overcome. It is to be attained, to reach a state where you are no longer having the physical urge, because now you have the spiritual lust. So you need to conquer that spiritual lust, and spiritual lust is not something that says that you are impure or dirty or for that matter you are disqualified from the path. This is all last 200-300 years of ajnana that has spread into our land, which is as per the karmic implications of the land itself. You cannot say that, oh, I wish it had not happened. How did we lose these knowledges? It is meant to lose. Why does a bomb blast? There is a reason for it. It is meant to blast. Why does a land lose its vidya, lose its history, and walk around as if we are a Western civilization, where we are vast and way more advanced? Why did we lose our history for a few thousand years? We are meant to lose it. But coming to the verses of Tirupugal, written by Sri Arunagiri Nadar, 16,000 verses were written by him. Only 2,000 are still prevalent. We will get the answer of why do we get the feelings of lust, what is lust, and why you should have lust, and why it's a specific emotion placed by none other than Madhya, and what is the purpose for it. You cannot continue to call yourself unworthy or dirty because you feel lust. You need to conquer it and overcome it. You need to step above it. How do you step above lust? So, Sri Arunagiri Nathan, let us go into his story. He lived in the 14th to 16th century. He has been known to propagate and I think it should be 14th century. Yeah. Anyway, he has written 16,000 verses called Tirupugal on the praises of Kanda Bhairava. However, only 2,000 remains. Why does only 2,000 remains? Only 2,000 is relevant right now. 2,000 of it was relevant and for us to learn certain Guhya Vidyas. Rest of them, he has decided that let them be Guhya. Probably we will not be able to understand, or we will not be able to mold it towards spreading of Dharma, or Kali has played his part and destroyed 14,000 verses of it. So 2,000 verses are left. Now coming into the life of Arunagiri Nadar, he was born into an affluent family, lost his father at a very young age. An empty Garbhagriha has been placed where he has lost the father. Okay, so now he's merely and completely in the hands of Adhya roaming around. Here a very beautiful marker is placed where his sister, his Adi Lakshmi or Adi, somewhere in some gurus, sampradayas, they also call her Muttammai. Anyway, most of them refer to her as Adi. What is Adi? The ancient. What is Adi? Adya. Very beautiful marker is placed as his sister's name is Adya. Okay. Arunagiri Nadar was born into a very affluent family, born with a silver or golden spoon. Mother is absolutely lavishing him with praises and love and affection. However, at a very young age, the mother passes away. Another empty garbhagriha. Empty mother, empty father. Both garbhagrihas are empty. Next comes his sister, who has a substantial age difference with him, and she is taking care of him. She is the one who becomes a mother, feeds him, bathes him, feeds him, takes care of all his education. He is highly educated. He is well aware of Sanskrit, he is well aware of Tamil, and any branch of knowledge at that time relevant for somebody of his age, he is on top of his class. We are talking about 14th, 15th or maybe 13th century. Okay. As he enters his teenage, he is riddled with lust to such an extent that this is the only feeling in his head. He relinquishes his urge for knowledge. He throws out all the books and everything. He is completely overcome with lust. He is running after women left and right. All the brothels he is visiting, all the women, teenagers of his society, teenagers of his street, he is after them. And he is, every day he would be in the company of women, to such an extent that it was causing great distress, and he was being known in the society to be a womanizer, a lust monster. That kind of image he had incurred. There is great lesson in his life, and it is for you, and you get it now. Stop feeling there is poison within. Understand why Mahadhya projects the feeling of lust. It is a part and parcel of your spiritual awakening and your spiritual growth. Let's go. So his sister is in great agony, seeing how her brother, who she had probably given a little more, like when the mother is also gone and there is such age gap between the sister and the brother, she has been just a mother and not like a sister, taken care of him so much that anytime he wants something, she will get it done. He wants to throw money on some brothel, on some dance session in the brothel. She will go there, give them jewels and all that, and he will take care of them. But she never stopped him. She let him go, although she was not approving of it. That's a very beautiful esoteric meaning here. The girl named Adhya, who is the mother, let's call her mother now, not sister anymore, because she's playing the role of she has filled the empty garbhagriha that upon death of Sri Arunagiri Nadar's mother, the sister named Adhya has taken and sat in that garbhagriha as the mother. So now we refer to her as mother. She does not stop him from squandering away the wealth. Multi-story house that he lived in, at that time, multi-story house, imagine. They now come to a small kutil. So he and she are both living in a small hut. This man is after every woman of the society. Finally, it comes to a state where he is now riddled with STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. His skin is rotting and he is in a very terrible state. He has no money left. Everything is gone. He incurs such a disease that his wife also, let us come to the wife, in an attempt to ensure that probably he will control himself and lead a good life in our society even today. When a man goes wayward, or even if a woman goes wayward, they try to get them married assuming that probably after marriage they will be fine. She also, Mahadhya, Adi Lakshmi, I like to call her Adhya Ma, tries to get him married to somebody by the name Gyanavalli. Okay, Gyanavalli. I just love the name Valli because she is the creator of the Tamil race itself, Through her only Kanda Swami created the Tamil race. Anyway, so to Gyanavalli, he gets married to Gyanavalli, and post that there is an assumption that probably he will improve. He does not improve. He still continues to go after every woman, everywhere, every brothel he visits. Okay, becomes the greatest womanizer of his generation. Only everybody knows him as somebody who would have probably, if they see him walking down the street, okay, he is coming from some brothel only. That assumption is there. That name is attached to him now. He has got sexually transmitted diseases, and the wife, now seeing that he has got these diseases, is now staying away from him, takes a shapat that she will never allow this man to touch him again. She goes to the Murugar temple, Kanda temple, and makes a shapat. And instead of making him sadder or depressed that the beautiful wife is no longer allowing him to touch him, here there is esoteric meaning. The wife not refusing to allow him to touch means that merely the Arunagiri Nadar has not understood the beauty of womanhood. He now feels that the woman is merely a physical being, just to satisfy that urge that he is now fully taken over. That is a beautiful lesson in this. It is only after you physically conquer the feeling of lust you can enter the spiritual lust. Spiritual lust is not physical. It is complete oneness or chasing after the Shakti, that is the divine feminine. Shaktapat is nothing but spiritually running after that. You physically feel the lust. Spiritual lust is when it is no longer physical. Many people try to convince us saying that you physically keep on enjoying all these things and you are also still in the path of the Shaktapat. No. You need to conquer, not to pretend and sit under a tree and say that you no longer feel lust, but to conquer lust. Okay. So, finally the wife also refuses to touch him anymore. Arunagiri Nadar, okay, he doesn't care because he doesn't look to her for all these satisfactions. He has other ways. So he continues to go there. His disease is spreading all over the body. Now he is showing all over skin. He is having all these kushtam, and the disease has completely ruined his appearance. He looks completely broken. At the lowest state right now, he has no money. Without money, what is celebrated in the brothel house or a war house? What is celebrated? Money. Without money, nobody cares about a man there, right? So he is not able to enter the brothel house anymore. They all turn him out. He runs door to door because his sexual lust is so high that it is killing him. He is unable to contain it. His wife sees this pitiable state and says, "You are riddled with this disease. I don't even want to see your face. Don't come near me." A message. You who is a lust-filled monster, even the wife no longer sees the Shiva Tattva within you and is asking you to get out. He keeps running door to door. Wife doesn't satisfy, or wife doesn't give him the space that he wishes for. He keeps on running. Door to door, he's knocking everywhere. Ultimately, it comes to such a state that he doesn't even recognize his own house. He knocks on his own door, opens the door, and he sees a woman sitting back turned to him and working in the stove. You know, they will have that old fashioned with the firewood, they would have the stove. He rushes towards her and places his hand on her shoulder, and she turns around and it is his sister who plays the role of the mother. This lust-filled man who is at this state, blinded by his lust, has finally, after all the women have turned him, to sent him out, seeing his disgusting appearance, now has finally come where? To that woman, her named Adi Lakshmi, Adhya, to fulfill his urge. She turns around and looks at him. There is an esoteric meaning here. Finally, after all the physical lust is exhausted, he comes to where? To his own sister. She turns around, looks at him. At pitiable state, she looks at him and says, "If I was not your sister, seeing the amount of love I have for you, I would have done something for you. That is the amount of love I have for you. Even now, you full of physical lust. Do you want to satisfy yourself with me? If I was not your sister, probably out of love for you, I would have even allowed that." Hearing these words, Arunagiri Nadar breaks down. He is thoroughly broken. Every amsha of lust within him is torn apart. He cannot handle the pain. The mother, the sister who filled the empty garbhagriha of the mother, has finally exposed to him how sexually charged and lustful he was. He's broken. Deciding that he could not even face himself anymore, looking at his hands and face full of disease, he runs all the way to the Annamalai temple, climbs up to the Gopuram and says that beyond this, I do not want to live. As he was about to climb the Gopuram, he sees a Divya Purusha there who says that, why are you running in this sort of an urge? What is it that has consumed you so much that you are running in this despair? Who are you? He says that, don't talk to me and all. I am trying to kill myself. You move away. He says that, why do you want to kill yourself? Take the name of Murugar. Take the name of Kandan. You will be fine. There is no worry that is beyond Kandan. He can take care of anything. You go to him, no. He's there. He just hears her and says, move away. I want to kill myself. I finally even gone in my lust to my own sister, who is none other than the woman who filled the Garbhagriha of my mother. What's her name? Adi Lakshmi, Adya. So he climbs the Gopuram. Before he jumps down, he gets this minor thought, okay, this man before I was climbing was talking about one Murugar, one Kandan, who everybody calls as the god. I will invoke him once and say that such a Mahapavi is now going to kill himself, at least give me something better in the next life. And he jumps down. You know, if you have seen the temple architecture of Tamil Nadu, you will notice that the Gopurams are not normal. They will be 3 or 4 story high. And he jumps from there, maybe even beyond 3 or 4 floors. It would be probably even 10 floors. He jumps from there, invoking Murugar, awaiting his own fall to the ground. However, he realizes that the fall is softened and somebody has held him. Multiple texts talk about multiple esoteric meaning in this. Some say it was Murugar himself who held. Some say that Murugar in the form of a Shiva yogi stood there and held him. In despair, she looks. If you jump from 10 floors and you are landing on the ground, you are dead. If somebody tries to hold you also, they will also be killed, because the weight and the momentum together, you will be multifold times of the weight that if you're just 70 kgs and you're jumping from 10 floors, your weight will crush anything that tries to hold you also. However, he lands there softly. He's surprised. Minor scratches on his body. He looks at this yogi and says, why have you stopped me? Why have you done this? I'm trying to end myself. Why have you stopped me? The yogi looks at him and says, go within the temple, sit in a corner, sit silently. It is at this moment that Arunagiri Nadar says that it is none other than Murugar with his veil writes the origin of the pranava in his tongue, and he is realized of the greatest spiritual knowledge. So this lust-filled monstrous man, why was he in so much lust? What is the meaning of lust? Why are young men in the path of Bhairava itself still unable to control lust? And it begins to peak to such an extent because Bhairava path is to understand Devi. Until you do not realize, attain and then conquer physical lust, you will always be held back by it. The beautiful esoteric story of Arunagiri Nadar, it is nothing but at the highest state of lust, Devi looks back at him as a sister and tells him, do you now realize that it was always me? Do you now finally see me? Are you still not satisfied with all these women you ran after? You would finally look at me also with lust. Beautifully, the sister's name is Adi Lakshmi, Adya. So the message of Bhairava Sadhana and why you feel lust is nothing but finally it is Devi teaching you to love and go after women, not just to physically finish off your lust, but to understand womanhood, understand femininity. Why is it that a man begets a daughter? It is a Devi telling you to see and watch your daughter grow. Realize that it is not just a physical lust. You see the daughter that you created, the beautiful manifestation of life, the form of the bala that is growing in front of you. Realize and understand that much beyond the physical lust, there is a spiritual lust. Don't be questing after the physical lust alone. And if you are full of physical lust, understand that there is going to be a state in your life where you might get married. But if you continuously quest after getting back into the yoni from where you came back, you will only be in the cycle. You will never come out of it. And that is the one thing that will stop you from spiritual enlightenment. You have to conquer it, and that energy needs to go higher and higher and higher within you. Because what is that physical lust? What is the urge that you feel through that physical lust? It is the urge to create. Like animals, many of us enjoy in wasting the seed in physical pleasures. But do you understand, it is that seed that is finally going to go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher within you and create spiritual birth of yourself. That seed, it is that. However, if till you have the urge, till you do not physically go to the end of that urge, and then you are at that moment looking back and realizing, I have no interest in this anymore, it is at that moment you have conquered it. Body is the yantra. Till you have the urge, get married, go. But always remember, the woman is not to be attained or conquered. She is Devi. The woman is Devi. And till you do not understand, till you see only the physical body, the hair, and the beauty of the woman, the way her hair falls, the way her skin is, the way her nose is, the eyes is, and you merely see that as a entity to be conquered, Devi will not come into your life. It is at that highest moment where you completely conquer. Even if a woman comes and stands in front of you and tries to entice you, you do not get enticed, but you only see Devi. You see Devi angry. You see Devi is playing with you. Devi is trying to invoke you. Devi is trying to take you and test you and tell you that will you still have the urge. If you have the urge, you have to satisfy it. The day will come as you go higher in sadhana that you no longer even have the urge. That is why finally when Arunagiri Nadar, none of the doors opened, his own house, he was full of sexual urge. He walks into his own house, places the hand on none other than Adi Lakshmi Madhya as a sister who embodied the empty Garbhagriha of the mother. She turns around and he gets the shock of his life as she says, do you want me also? Is that not a beautiful moment of realization that Devi gives all of us, that satisfy all this, but ultimately until you finally look at that woman and in front of you in your life, placed organically in your life or inorganically you chased after, and you don't see Devi in all these women, there is no spiritual progress for you. That seed of creation, till you are physically trying to place it into a physical being, you do not realize Devi. The whole point of Vishnu sadhana, Krishna sadhana, Bhairava sadhana, Shiva sadhana is to send the seed higher and higher into spiritual realization. But that doesn't mean today you go and sit under a tree and pretend to have overtaken it, pretend to have conquered it while being full of lust. Do not wait till you are 40, 50, 60, 70 for your body itself to wilt away to such a stage that it no longer feels these urges. When you're 25, when you're 30, in your teens, realize that every woman embodies Devi. And do not look at her as a physical instrument of pleasure, but it is Devi. Every woman embodies Devi. With that thought, she will then guide you to the right woman. If you are seeking marriage, you will be able to marry the right woman who will then take you to the higher realms of spirituality, but not physical pleasure. But does that mean that you abstain from physical pleasure? No. Till the urge is there within, do not try to control the urge. Live your body. You have a nose, you have a lungs, you're breathing. You have a brain that is thinking. Your boss asks you to do X amount of work and you're doing it because the brain is working. You are lifting the food with your hand and eating. Every organ has its purpose. Finish the purpose. A day will come when you no longer feel it. When you no longer feel it, that is when you realize that Devi has now given you the go-ahead. Devi sitting at the firewood, cooking food. You finally place your hand on her shoulder. He turns around and says, you want me also for physical pleasure? Then you realize that every woman embodies Devi. Then the way you look at every woman will change. Then begins your spiritual progress. So is lust wrong? Lust is not wrong. Lust is asking you to satisfy it so that ultimately you realize that that is not pleasure. There is pleasures that is beyond that. The same logic is to be applied to all the addictions that you have. I have been contacted by drug addicts, people who are not able to get out of smoking, people who are addicted to Madira. Why are you addicted to that? These apply to certain senses in your body, and till there is physical pleasure that is able to satisfy you, spiritual pleasure will evade you. There is only two kind of fires that will burn in the body. The physical one that digests the food, the other fire that will digest your bhuta agni, your spirituality, the spiritual fire. You touch, every time this goes higher, the spiritual fire falls. Every time the spiritual fire goes higher, this falls. Why your marriage is being broken? Have you completely, at the time of the breakup of your marriage, have you completely come over the physical urges? Then you're lucky. Devi has blessed you, taken you higher. Now you would think, is abstinence the path? So I was in one of the groups, in that somebody had given a mantra for controlling the physical urge. Okay, it was a mantra of Sukhdev, and he had mentioned that he had now overcome the thought of physical lust by invoking that mantra of that deity. Now I have an anonymous profile there, so I don't interact with my own name. So I very casually asked him, I don't think this is the right train of thought that you will physically try to control that lust, because that is not the purpose. If you are eating with the hand, if you are writing with the hand, if you are walking with the legs, then every organ that is meant to specifically perform a function has to perform the function. Otherwise, why has it been given to you? Aren't you pretending that something given by Devi herself is ugly or not to be used? That is wrong. Then he got angry, started fighting with me. I said it was a mere test. See, you have not conquered anger. So all the emotions are still very much valid. Why are you trying to simply move these desires to a future life, satisfy everything? However, how do you know? With the support of Kanda, you will know when Arunagiri Nadar, whose entire life after conquering lust, he decides to tyag his physical body itself. Arunagiri Nadar is given the message by none other than Murugar, gives him the darshan and gives him a mantra. There is a mantra given to him. And that mantra invokes that form of Kanda Bhairava that Devi Adhya created by accumulating the 6 balls of Agni from the wombs of the 6 Kartikeya Pengal, who are none other than Devis. Devi, the Shiva Tattva was so heavy that Devi contains it within her womb, each in 6 forms, and then gives it to Ma Adhya by the name Ma Parvati. In the Saravana lake, she creates one specific form. By that name, there is a mantra that is given to Sri Arunagiri Nadar as the Guru Mantra upon conquering of the lust. So if you realize that you at this moment, so what is the marker or the eligibility for you to do this sadhana? The eligibility is very simple. Do you now, when you look at a woman, do you feel that the lust is disgusting? Are you beginning to disassociate with this lust, and you're feeling that though I have enjoyed the lust and the feelings of pleasure and all that, I now do not want this to be my path. I want to disassociate with this lust and go higher in spirituality. Understand the difference. Pretending when you are raging with lust, you knowing that it is pleasure, but I should not do it because it is wrong. That is different. Pretending is not the thing here. You have attained it and you come to a state where now I feel that I should unplug and replug towards spiritual fire and not physical fire. This is the marker that you are eligible for that, this mantra. The mantra, then Kandan, the name of the lake where Ma Parvati, Ma Adhya sat and formed the perfect Purusha, the perfect Purusha Murti of Mahadeva, the 6 balls of fire. That mantra is given by none other than Kandan himself by the name of that lake to Arunagiri Nadar, who then propagates that mantra. So here, he who had completely conquered his lust by attaining all the highest states of it, has seen the highest state of it, no longer wants to turn back and see one more moment of lust. He is completely conquered it. So similarly, if you also have conquered this lust and you want to go higher in sadhana, but do not have it in the back of your mind that I know that is pleasurable, then you still have it. Then your body is still, the physical fire is burning, go burn it all off and come back. You will reach a state where you are disassociating, you do not get the feeling of positivity when you see this feeling of lust is beginning to, or it could be any kind of an addiction. That is now, you are feeling that I want to be the slave to the spiritual fire. However, I am now still, because of that smoke or because of that lust towards women or towards that slaveness, the slave enslavement towards a drug. I want to get over it. Murugar gives a mantra to Arunagiri Nadar as he disassociates from his lust, and it is Om Saravana Bhavaya Nama. Om Saravana Bhavaya Nama. Om Saravana Bhavaya Nama. Now you are in the form of a specific deity. You might have been in the path of Swarna Krishna Bhairava. You might have been in the sadhana of Vatuka Bhairava. You might be in the sadhana of Kala Bhairava or any specific female form of deity. How do I incorporate this mantra into my daily life? The eligibility is that you should come to the state of Sri Arunagiri Nadar where you are now disgusted by this lust and you do not see pleasure, but you feel that you need to understand the femininity that is Devi. You have walked up at the final state, you have opened your own house doors in the lust, you have lost all thoughts that this is your own house you're entering and your own sister's back is faced towards you. You place your hand on your sister and your sister is turning back in the form of Mahadhya and telling you, you are still not satisfied, you still want me. If you have reached that state, go within yourself and understand that you have reached that state where you want to disassociate and you are no longer okay with who you were. Then you recite this mantra. Take a sankalpa. If you are already in the sankalpa, somebody had texted me, somebody said the sadhana of Matara, can I start Mahadhya also? This both the sadhanas are gone. You are unfit for both the sadhanas. You will not find progress in both. If you are in the sankalpa of any deity, do not do it. Let the sankalpa end. If you are in the sankalpa of Swarna Krishna Bhairava, what do? If you have taken the bija mantra or you are daily reciting as part of a nitya sadhana, you are reciting the Swarna Krishna mantra. Continue to do it as daily. As a daily ritual. However, how do you now get into the path of Kanda as you overcome all the physical desires? Kanda Bhairava has a name called Kama Rupaya. We will go deeper into this name. Kama Rupaya. He is the form of Kama himself. The energy that is within Kama Deva himself is within Kanda because he is the 150% of Mahadeva. So everything is created by Mahadeva. Even the feelings of lust is also placed there. Lust is also placed there. It is also part and parcel of you. The British man says that it is dirty, nasty. No, it is within you. It is the path to higher realization. The body is the yantra. You need to conquer it. How do you conquer it? By attaining it. Attaining a state of that moment where you no longer lust after it. So, if Arunagiri Nadar was not meant to give us all this information about Guru Kanda Bhairava, he would probably have 100 more lives as a man. So if he had been with 100 women, let's say, so these 100 women would have been with him for those, each of the life that he would have had as a normal person who is not meant to give us these vidyas, he would have taken 100 more lives. Each of that life, each woman that he had spent time with would have been his wife or some girlfriend or something. He was lucky that Mahadhya who emptied his Garbhagriha of the mother and came as a sister there and called herself Adi Lakshmi. Adhya. Adi is her name. She had accelerated his physical burning to such an extent that he attained that 100 years of womanhood in one single birth. And ultimately came, are you still not realized? And then it is Devi who plays the victim and then will give you the greatest vidya because she is the creator of Kanda, she is the creator of Bhairava, she is the creator of everything that you see, including the lust that you have within you. So accelerating, this is something that you yourself would want to have and accelerate through these feelings of lust so that you do not come back for 10 more lifetimes. Look very carefully what is these feelings that is within you and attain it, but a state will come where you want to dissociate with it because you are not okay with that anymore. That is when you recite the mantra. So keep your Nitya Sadhana going. On Tuesdays, take a Sankalpa for 6 days, or you might take it for 9 days, or you might even take it for 48 days or 43 days. Of this, recite this mantra. Choose the number of malas you want to do. You might want to do 10, you might want to do 3, you might want to do 100 malas, it is up to you. But the thought should be one, give me higher states of spiritual wealth. Allow me to conquer through the sankalpa, multiple sankalpas I will keep taking little by little, place me on the funeral pyre to such an extent that I am now destroying, overcoming, winning over all the physical urges that I have. Little by little to such an extent that I attain it. So please be sure that it doesn't mean that next day you wake up After the Sankalpa, you will no longer have any physical urges. No, he will give you in the most least karmic way how to burn it. These messages will come within you itself. Don't go and ask anybody. Those messages will come to you itself. So, I have a Shishya who was specifically going through these sort of pain of physical lust, being unable to conquer similar distances from the wife. So, okay, I will tell you a small story now. Arunagiri Nadar, as he went higher into his state of attaining the state of a Siddha, the king at that time was very taken with his bhakti of Muruga. The king was afflicted with cataract. He was losing his sight. One of this story we will get into later, but just the crux I am giving you, by how the Shishya who came to me had the same problem and how I was able to associate his problem with the message of Arunagiri Nadar through a small marker placed by a bird. So listen to the story. So when the king's eyes started failing, and only cure for that, the royal physician said that you will have to use the divine flower Parijata, and for that you will have to, somebody will have to give it from Devaloka. Either you will have to do tapasya for many centuries, or else you will have, somebody will have to, who has such vak siddhi that his tongue can take him to the Devaloka and get him blessings of the Devaloka. Such a person will have to do it for you. So what they do? They all turn towards Arunagiri Nadar, the realized saint who is always singing the glory of Kanda Bhairava. They say that please help the king. He is losing his vision. We need the Parijata flower. He readily agrees. He walks up. He says that being a Siddhar, he says, I will move my prana from this body, because the body cannot go to Devaloka and come back. So I will move my prana out of this body. He finds a dead parrot sitting on top of the arch. And what he says is the entry arch. He says that I will move myself into my prana into that bird which is dead already, and with that body I will fly to the Devaloka, and that my own body lying here I will come back and attain after I have brought the flowers. And he leaves. Some of his enemies, or you can say competitors, I will not go into the depth of that story because there are other reasons why I need that story to impart other lessons. So immediately what these competitors do, as soon as Arunagiri Nadar exits from this body, so he's a Siddha, he has attained these Siddhis. So as soon as he exits from the body, his body lies and falls down to the floor, and the bird that is lying dead on the arch wakes up and flies. It is none other than a parrot. His competitors seek the body of Arunagiri Nadar, want to end him, then and there they steal the body and they light it on fire so that he can never come back in that body again. Arunagiri Nadar as the parrot, when he comes back with the Parijata flowers, the moment the flowers have come to the borders of the city itself, every disease, everybody who is afflicted with the cataract of the eye in that entire kingdom, including the king, is cured. They jump out with renewed prana and they look around and they realize that Arunagiri Nadar has come, however his body is now missing. Arunagiri Nadar's body is missing. They quest everywhere, they cannot find it. So Arunagiri Nadar takes that as a message and he continues to impart his knowledge as a parrot. Now the Shishya who came to me asking for spiritual wealth, spiritual knowledge, spiritual guidance, who was also afflicted with this specific issue of lust. So you have all been feeding my cows, many of you have tried to feed my dogs. I also have a parrot. If you go through my Facebook profile, you might find this parrot recites Om Krem Kalike Namah. Sometimes I say this parrot is a guru. Sometimes I think this parrot has come to take me as the guru, as a Shishya. But mostly I think it is some guru who has not imparted knowledge fully to me, so it has come to me as a parrot. That species, can you hear the parrot? That is a parrot. I don't know if all of you are blessed to hear her words. So this Shishya who came, who was afflicted, that is a parrot. Please listen. She is downstairs. Okay. So this Shishya who is afflicted with this issue of the lust and understanding of the feminine energy, Devi is sending him on that path. He also finds it difficult to envision Devi. He always runs after the male forms only because Devi is still teaching him the feminine part. He has daughters and he is learning what is womanhood, what is femininity. He is still learning. He is at the Shiva Tattva. He is still not attained the Shiva Tattva. Only after attaining the Shiva Tattva or Bhairava Tattva you can go towards Devi. This Shishya is the only one who will give me a fruit, and he will say, he used to give me a fruit. So what I would do is, I'm not a fan of consuming a lot of food and all that, and especially fruits and all. I don't consume all that much. So what I would do is, I would go and give that fruit to the parrot. He kept on giving me these fruits. So one day I told him, do you know that you think you're feeding me, but you're not feeding me. There is another guru in my house. There is a parrot whom I consider guru. You're feeding that guru. Look at the marker that has been placed. Arunagiri Nadar continues to live on as the parrot. I come across a Shishya who is afflicted with lust and learning the divine feminine. Still, he has daughters. The Shishya continues to feed. He thinks he is feeding me, but he is feeding my parrot. The only one on earth who has given me a fruit, but I am not eating it. The parrot is eating it. Arunagiri Nadar, the one who gave that through lust you attain oneness with the deity, understand what is lust and how you should overcome physical lust and go into the spiritual realms. Only then you can go higher. Ultimately, when the lust itself seems disgusting to you, you want to disassociate with it, and he jumps up, tries to destroy the body. He is saved by Murugar, who gives him the jnana, the guru of the Siddhars, Murugar, Kanda Bhairava. And this person who is coming after me for the spiritual knowledge as a Shishya is feeding the parrot. So all this began to finally make sense within me, and I have realized that all of you sending me emails and texts saying that I'm unable to control lust. What am I supposed to do? Don't control it. You have the body, you will have all the urges, and it is all Devi. But when you look unto the woman where you satisfy your lust, realize that she is Devi. The moment you begin to disassociate from the physical urge of lust, step back. Recite the mantra I have given you. That mantra is being given left and right by many people who have not realized the depth of that mantra. That mantra is given specifically because the lake where Devi Adhya, Ma Parvati created Murugar to perfection, that name of that lake is in the mantra, number one. Number two, it was given to somebody who has overcome with lust and tried to commit suicide. So when the physical urges are too high, you are unable to contain it, you are questing after spiritual high, that is when this mantra should be recited, and it should not be simply recited. So take sankalpas, keep your Nitya Sadhana going, take sankalpa. Now you will wonder, what about the photograph? I already have a photograph of Vatuka Bhairava. I already have a photograph of Swarnakashna Bhairava. Now are you asking me to keep one more photograph? Who gave the final realization, physical realization to Arunagiri Nadar that you lust-filled monster, you have become so full of lust that finally you want me also? Who asked that? The sister Adi, who had filled the Garbhagriha of the mother. For Kandan, what is the sign of the Shakti that we have spoken about? The veil. Go to Amazon, go to your nearby shops, buy a wooden veil, buy a photo of a veil, buy a plastic veil, not plastic, buy a copper veil, buy a brass veil, any veil, the veil that Murugar holds, any veil, buy it and keep it in your puja graha. This specific sadhana, when you are sitting down, take the sankalpa you are aware of how to take sankalpas, please say the sankalpa for 6 days, 9 days, 48 days, 9 years, whatever it is that you seek. Realize, but the physical realization that you are no longer okay with the lust that you feel, you have attained it to such an extent that you want to disassociate with it, that person should sit for this sankalpa. Keep the Nitya Sadhana going. There is no need for you to stop the Nitya Sadhana. There is no need for you to stop the Nitya Sadhana. Keep it going. You will take 108 flowers. You will offer one by one the flower at the veil. After finishing the mantra sadhana, sit, don't get up. Offer the flowers, 108 flowers per day, each session. You will sit down and you will offer the flower at the veil. You don't have to keep his photograph fully. You keep the veil. Offer the flower at the veil. When you get up, take some of those flowers and keep it with you for the whole day. Repeatedly smell that flower. The most ideal flower is the jasmine. Smell it. Every time you smell it, you ask him that to stay with you and give you the knowledge of conquering physical urges and heading you higher towards the spiritual knowledge, spiritual lust. Spiritual lust is purely heading towards the oneness with Mahadhya. As he opened the final dwara, he had not realized, Arunagiri Nadar had not realized that he is now opening the dwara to Mahadhya, and she has turned towards him, not yet given her the darshana. He did not realize that he had just stepped, and all the while his sister was none other than Mahadhya Kali. That is why her name is Adi. Some say it is Adi Lakshmi, some say it is Adi. Who is Adi? Adhya Kali. So continue to keep the Nitya Sadhana going, don't stop it. If you have taken the Bija Mantra Swarna Krishna Bhairava or Nama Japa, or you have taken a Sankalpa, you will do 1.5 lakhs, 10 or 3 lakhs, whatever, keep it going. On Tuesdays, whenever you feel comfortable, on Tuesdays, take a Sankalpa for 6 days, 9 days, 48 days, up to you. That you will do 1 mala, 10 mala, whatever it is. But the Sankalpa should be that you will rid me of the quest to continue after physical pleasures and take me towards the spiritual realms. I've given you the mantra. With this urge placed at his feet, you will finish the mala and then you will offer 108 jasmine flowers to the whale. After you're done, take a few of those flowers with you through the day. Discard it before you go to bed. Next day, again, continue it till the end of your Sankalpa. Offer any sattvic offering that you want to do, you can offer it at the whale. Whenever you feel the urge for lust, you should think of the jasmine smell and remember the Sankalpa. If you still feel the lust, you may go and finish it. However, realize that each time you are finishing this physical lust, you are going higher and higher and higher, and ultimately one day, no matter which woman or which girl you see, you will have only Devi that you see in her, nothing else. This is the message given through Mahadhya to Arunagiri Nadar, who is none other than a great Shakta, who wrote 16,000 words in praise of Kanda Bhairava, became his greatest namesake poet, greatest Siddhar in his name. However, he was a Shakta, for he is the one who praises Valli Devi, the left side goddess of Kandan, and gives us the knowledge that it is through Valli Devi that you attain the Shakta side of Kanda Bhairava. I am wishing you all a great new year. Let the energy of Mars, let the energy of Kanda take you to higher realms of knowledge, Vidya. As you learn that the physical fire and the spiritual fire cannot burn together, there is only one stove. When Mahadhya sat at the stove, firewood stove, and Arunagiri Nadar rushes towards her, places the hand on her shoulder. She turns around, there is a stove that is burning in front of her. That stove was the physical stove cooking food. However, now at that moment she used the put, that message, and cuts him off, gives him the highest state of realization, runs him towards Kandan, who then gives him, as the Guru gives him initiation into that mantra. You are all initiated into that mantra today. If you are questing after attainment of the highest levels, please understand physical lust has to be conquered. A woman cannot be looked at as an instrument of lust, but as the embodiment of Devi. Otherwise, you will come back again and again and again. You will have daughters, and as the daughter grows, you have to understand femininity. That is why you have a daughter, so that you learn femininity. Devi has given you an opportunity to get exposed and learn femininity. That is why you have a daughter. Every organically placed woman, right from your maid to your colleague to your sister to your mother to your grandmother to your mother-in-law, sister-in-law, exposes you to different versions of femininity, different versions of Devi. Till you have physical lust controlling you, you will not be able to see Devi within. Arunagiri Nadar, known for his bhakti towards Kandan was actually trained. His body was groomed by Ma Adhya in the form of a sister Adi. Have you still not learned, Aruna? Have you still not learnt? Now you do want me also? Imagine that scene in your eyes when she would have spoken those words to him. This year is going to be a year of enlightenment for all of you. Wish you a great year ahead. Go through all the videos. Before you react, throw the Gandhiv down. See Devi in every woman. Detach from the physical urge of it. Go towards spiritual urge. Bhairava Kalike Namostute. Om Namo Bhairavaya Namo 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 Bhairavaya Swaha.